Welcome to the Reins of Leadership, the podcast dedicated to helping you lead with presence and influence with trust. I'm your host, Marinda Smith, business leadership strategist, sharing actionable insights on mindset, EQ and energy uniquely illuminated by wisdom gained alongside my equine partners. Hello and welcome back to the Reins of Leadership. Great to have you with me again. This past week, I've been watching the younger horses interact with the established hierarchy in the herd, and it got me thinking deeply about how we navigate pressure and expectations, both in our own space and those placed upon us. Sometimes the ones who seem the most eager to please are carrying the heaviest load internally. And so today I thought we'd explore exactly that dynamic, the eager pleaser, the archetype we often encounter in our teams. So we're going to be diving into the story of Jade, who we've met before, and we're going to learn some more about her, who's got this intense desire to do the right thing, and the lessons that she taught me about recognizing that hidden stress and the importance of creating space before someone reaches their breaking point. It's about seeing beyond the surface, that surface willingness to the underlying need. So welcome to the Reins of Leadership, where the wisdom of the horse guides us towards leading with greater awareness, presence and connection, integrating all our parts of ourselves and our teams. So let's step into the podcast. Before we meet Jade, I want to check in with you. Are you finding yourself caught in that cycle of high achievement, but feeling increasingly drained or disconnected? Maybe you're the one always saying yes, picking up the slack and wondering if this constant output is truly sustainable or aligned with what you deeply desire. Is your success costing you more than it's giving you? If that feeling resonates and you recognize that eager pleaser pressure from within yourself, or you see it reflected in how you lead, the Leadership Realignment Session might be exactly what you need right now. It's a dedicated one-on-one coaching experience with me, designed for successful people ready to break free from overwhelm and lead with genuine self-trust, presence and purpose. If it's time to realign your inner world with your outer success, find the link to learn more and book your session in the show notes. All right, let's talk about Jade. Jade always wanted to do the right thing. From the moment I'd approach her, her energy was obvious. She'd anticipate my movements, and I could see her practically vibrating with the effort to guess what I wanted next. And when I was riding her, she was even more so. And sometimes whatever the offering she gave to the answer to my question, she would be giving it before I'd even formed the question in my mind. Her eyes would be wide, her ears would be constantly going backwards and forth, scanning and assessing, and her body would show that underlying tightness, that subtle rigidity. From the outside, especially if you weren't paying close attention to the whole aspect of her, she looked like the perfect willing partner. And she's a good looking little pony, and she's incredibly attentive, and it might have seemed that she was really eager to please. Internally though, I learnt over time that Jade was a pressure cooker. That intense focus wasn't calm presence, it was hyper-vigilance fueled by a deep desire to please, perhaps even a fear of getting it wrong. And if I, as the leader in that moment, failed to notice these subtle signs, the tight muscles beneath her smooth coat, the quick, shallow breaths, the shortening stride, or whatever she did that betrayed her inattention, if I missed that rising pressure and kept asking for just one more thing, one more maneuver, one more adjustment, one more try, she would inevitably reach her tipping point. And when Jade reached her limit, she didn't just subtly signal discomfort, she'd let me know with a huge buck, a big, bold, unmistakable buck. And I've sat on many of her bucks, And I've realised over time that it wasn't malice or defiance aimed at me per se. It was simply a resentment of my request. She was overwhelmed by another request. It was a visceral release, an explosion of pent-up energy and overwhelm. And it was her body screaming, "This is too much, and I don't have the language or the perceived permission to tell you any other way." Jade taught me so much, and it was really about going deeper into what she was giving. I could have whipped the bejeebers out of her and said, "You are doing it my way." Yet that's not how I work, as you would have learnt by now. What I needed to do was understand what was the underlying cause, or how I could help her in her lessons to learning and us in our connection and development together. Jade taught me so many powerful lessons, and this one was about trying desperately to please is not the same as being truly present and engaged. She showed me that without the space to breathe, without feeling truly seen and having her subtle signals acknowledged, even the sweetest, most willing soul will eventually crack under pressure. Her bucks weren't the problem. They were the symptom of a system that wasn't providing enough safety for her to communicate her needs sooner, more quietly. And so she came to me with this mindset, and it was my role in retraining her for me to listen and for her and I to connect together and move together forward. This dynamic isn't unique to the paddock. Every team, every organisation has its own version of Jade. And, those eager pleasers, those people that are showing this facade, yet underneath they've got this hypervigilance. One of the things that I'd like you to consider is to recognise the Jades on your team. Are there ones who consistently say yes, often with a smile, so you're confused? They volunteer for extra tasks, they pick up the slack without being asked, and rarely complain. They seem incredibly helpful, reliable, and positive. But like Jade, their outward presentation might be masking significant internal pressure, anxiety, or overwhelm. Their attentiveness might stem from hypervigilance rather than relaxed engagement. As leaders, we need to develop that awareness, to look beyond the easy yes and notice the subtle cues. Are their shoulders perpetually tight? Do they seem rushed even when still? Is their positive agreement sometimes accompanied by a sigh or a fleeting look of fatigue? Don't just take the surface willingness at face value. Tune into the energetic undercurrent. While genuine helpfulness exists, chronic overpleasing often isn't solely driven by generosity or confidence. More frequently, it's rooted in fear. Fear of letting people down, fear of conflict, fear of not being seen as valuable or indispensable, fear of losing connection or approval. They equate their worth with their output and their ability to meet every need. Understanding this motivation shifts our perspective. We move from potentially exploiting their willingness, even unconsciously, to recognizing they're actually vulnerable. This allows us as leaders to respond with more compassion and to be proactively addressing the underlying need for security and validation. So rather than just piling on more tasks, allow yourself to rethink some of those star performers and just what is going on underneath the surface. Jade's bucking was actually a lagging indicator. The pressure had been building long before the explosion. In our teams, the buck might look like burnout, missed deadlines, seemingly out of nowhere, where someone has been so helpful and doing everything and then all of a sudden they're starting to miss deadlines. Or uncharacteristic emotional outbursts, health issues, that is often a key area of concern, or sudden resignation. And we can't afford to wait for these moments. So your role as a leader involves proactively creating a field of psychological safety where honesty is not just permitted but actively encouraged and valued. So this means explicitly stating that it's okay to say no, or saying it's okay to ask for help, to admit overwhelm, or to set boundaries. It's not okay to just keep pushing back and saying you do it, yet it is okay to check in on how people are doing, their well-being and their capacity. Not just what they are doing, their task list, but thinking about them as a person. And prioritising sustainable performance and well-being over constant maximum output. Make it safe to be human before the system overloads them. Perhaps the most powerful way to support the Jades on your team is to model a different way of being yourself. If you as the leader constantly project an image of perfection, always having the answer, never showing vulnerability, and consistently overextending yourself, and hand up if you actually have seen yourself do any of those, then you're implicitly sending the message that this is the expected norm. It's the standard in the workplace. Yet conversely, when you openly admit limitations, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now, or I need help with this, or I made a mistake, when you visibly protect your own time and energy, and when you prioritise your well-being, you give powerful permission for others to do the same. Letting go of your own need to be the perfect, all-doing leader creates space for your team members to be real, to express their needs and to find healthier ways to contribute than burning themselves out trying to please, because they're actually trying to please you. Just like Jade, we don't want that. We don't want that. But gathering the reins on our reflection about Jade and the eager pleasers in our lives, if you remember nothing else today, hold these key points. Look beyond that yes. Practice awareness to notice the subtle signs of stress hidden beneath outward willingness. Understand the driver. So you don't need to know the whys or the history behind it, but just recognize that over-pleasing is often rooted in fear, requiring compassion and security, not just more tasks. And create safety proactively. Don't wait for burnout or breakdown. Build a culture where honesty about capacity and needs is safe and encouraged before overload occurs. Model the way. Show your team it's okay to have limits, make mistakes, and set boundaries by doing so yourself. Your vulnerability gives them permission. Jade's story is real, and it's a reminder that true leadership isn't about maximising output at all costs. It's about creating an environment where individuals feel safe enough to be present, honest, and sustainable, where they don't have to be bucked to be heard. And a team that isn't bucking is more innovative, more resilient, more productive, and it's more sustainable. And that's the team that you want. Having a team like that makes you, the leader, look good. It reduces your own stress and it will prevent that costly turnover of staff. So here's a practice for you this week. Identify one person in your team, or perhaps even yourself, who often presents as that eager yes person. Make a conscious effort in your next interaction to hear their words and to observe their energy and body language. Notice the subtle cues. Then, instead of just giving another task, try asking an open-ended question focused on their capacity or well-being, like, how is your workload feeling overall right now? Or what support do you need this week? Just create a small opening for honesty, and if it's you're thinking about, then do the same for yourself. If this conversation about hidden pressures, alignment, and leading with presence resonated deeply, particularly if you see yourself or your leadership style reflected in these patterns, I encourage you once more to explore the Leadership Realignment Session. It's a dedicated space to untangle those dynamics and to create more sustainable, authentic and impactful way of leading. The link is waiting for you in the show notes. Thanks for joining me on the Reins of Leadership. Remember to lead with presence and influence with trust. Subscribe for more insights and find resources at mirindasmith.podia.com.